Nowadays, we're accustomed to seeing people riff on films and pointing out their strange mistakes thanks to the advent of the internet and YouTube. And one could argue the major influence behind this phenomenon is Mystery Science Theater 3000. What started out as a cable access show eventually grew into a series with a devoted fanbase who would memorize the jokes and little interludes. The premise is relatively simple. Joel, and then in later seasons Mike, would be sent into outer space and forced to sit through some low-quality films. To keep his sanity intact, he would be accompanied by a couple of robot friends who would help in riffing the films. And that's basically it, with the framing devices most existing as an excuse to poke fun at the films featured in each episode. That's what made most people tune in, rather than an overarching plot of any kind. They would riff on a variety of films, from low-budget science fiction films to B-movie westerns to Japanese kaiju films, and when befittingly holiday season, Christmas movies. The infamous Santa Claus Conquers the Martians likely found a bigger audience through MST3K, and I have to admit the first time I saw this film was through their riffing of it. They even riffed the Oscar-winning science fiction film Marooned, albeit a television edit of the film. While Joel Hodgson seemed to have a laid-back and almost deadpan reaction to the material presented to him, Michael Nelson was more aggressive in his approach. I think an argument could be made for both of these styles of riffing, though I think the writers and hosts were basically dependent on the material the films gave them. MST3K has developed a loyal fanbase, and understandably so. That sort of snarky style of film criticism was not invented by the best brains folks. Pauline Kael, Raj Ebert, and Gene Siskel have been doing it for a while. But MST3K definitely helped pave the way for that style to be applied at the entire film. And we see that influence of even something as simple as live tweeting. My overall opinion on Mystery Science Theater 3000 is it's mildly amusing. There are certainly some laughs to be had with the series, and the writers were very clever with their approach, especially with the concept of the silhouettes. Each episode ran about 90 minutes, and while I find the jokes can more than sustain the series through the first 30 minutes, I feel it starts to wear out its welcome after that. Obviously, your mileage may vary, as the fanbase not only enjoys watching these episodes multiple times, they even go out to see them on the big screen, with Michael Nelson's riff tracks continuing the tradition began by MST3K. And while the humor in Mystery Science Theater doesn't hit me with the same consistency as other people do, there is a major element I greatly admire about it, and that's how the hosts treat their subjects. This might be attributed to the fact the series started from humble beginnings, but they don't go out of their way to insult the filmmakers. Hodgson, Nelson, and the other writers almost have a certain respect for the directors, going out there and filming something and putting it on the screen for all to see. Even a film as infamous in its notoriety as Manos, The Hands of Fate, they mock it while also almost respecting the chutzpah that came from putting it together. There is not a mean streak running through MST3K, or at least the episodes I watched, which is kind of sweet. Maybe part of that is because they recognize the show is also watched and admired by children who would send drawings to them. One can also recognize MST3K's influence on the current run of internet personalities who make fun of low-quality films. While I personally find the whole concept of running through the film in a scene-by-scene recap has gone a bit old hat at this point, you do have a number of personalities who have used what MST3K began as a way to jump off into new directions. Brad Jones taking on the role of an elite cinema snub who looks down at anything that's not auteur-driven or high art is done to clever and satirical effect, and the way he reacts to the exploitative films presented to him certainly owes some debt to the likes of Hodgson, Nelson, and their robot companions. Folks like Tony Goldmark with Some Jerk of a Camera and David Gansel with his Doggins personality have also given the MST3K approach to theme park attractions. And if you can, I highly recommend watching their riff of the Disneyland opening, which made me laugh aplenty this summer. It's a sort of riff that would make the Best Brains team proud. MST3K has even inspired the popular set of video game Let's Players with their immediate reactions to game glitches, unresponsive controls, and strange design choices, especially the comedic duo of the Game Grumps. And of course, there are countless others that would take me forever to name. So while Mystery Science Theater 3000 is not something I would call myself a huge fan of, I certainly respect it for bringing something new and interesting to cable access television and running with it, taking on watching these films of dubious quality with good humor and spirits, and the joy they bring to people of various generations to this day, and their influence is certainly undeniable. See you next time.